Hey, hockey fans, the Canucks and Predators series all even at a game apiece as we get set to see the series shift to Nashville for Game 3 on Friday night. To talk about it, let's bring in Farhan Lalji. And Farhan, you and I have gone on and spoken an awful lot about Elias Pettersson and his lack of production so far in these playoffs, and rightfully so. He's 0 across his entire stat line and a -4 overall. But he's not the only one not producing right now. The Canucks had 5 20-goal scorers during the regular season, as well as Pettersson, Besser, Miller, Höglander, and Garland as well. And none of them have scored so far. What is going on with the Canucks stars right now, Farhan?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to look at Pettersson, as you say, and, the difference probably between Pettersson and the rest of them is just what's happening at the other end of the ice, because the Canucks have been outshot 12-4 with Pettersson on the ice, and they're only controlling 32% of expected goals. So that's not good, at least in the case of JT Miller and Brock Besser and Pius Suter, who's probably been the most active member of that top line. At least they're driving play. They're generating some zone time. They're generating, and they're noticeable. They look like they're doing the right things. But at the end of the day, this is a bottom line business, Gino, as you know, and as you mentioned, you've got 5 20-goal scorers. None of them have scored yet. None of them have really put their fingerprints or taken a hold of this series yet. And you expect that from a player like JT Miller. A player like Connor Garland is constantly got the puck on his stick, and he's twisting and turning and avoiding and getting himself in the right spots, but there's still no bottom line, right? So, he had a wide open net as well that he wound up missing. Pius Suter had a perfect slap pass on his stick right at the side of the net, and the puck just died on his stick in the last game when it should have just been an easy tap in. So those top players, those top lines, they have got to find a way to start producing a little bit more consistently, or the Canucks are going to find themselves behind in this series. So everything can kind of look good in terms of zone time and excitement, but if you're not scoring goals, and in many cases not even getting shots through to the net, these top guys have some work to do, because as you know, I mean, you're never going to win a series if your top players aren't your top players. You look in the last game, Philip Forsberg scored a really nice goal. Ryan O'Reilly has scored already in this series. They're doing it on their end. Vancouver's top guys need to do it as well.
Sometimes when you're struggling, you look for a line mate to kind of bolster you, to give you some kind of pickup, and that's not happening for Pettersson. Nils Höglander is a guy who scored 24 during the regular season. What's going on with him right now?
Well, that's a tough one to watch right now, because he is supposed to be the Canucks energizer bunny and a guy you can really count on the forecheck. And early in the year, he still had to sell himself to Rick Tocchet. He was a healthy scratch for a game or two, but then after that, he really took off. And Tocchet likes to play his players in pairs as much as possible, as opposed to 3 lines that are locked in. And when you look at his pairs, he's got Miller and Besser, he's got Garland and Joshua, and he's got Pettersson and Höglander. So even though you expect Pettersson to drive play and do most of the work, when that line or when that pair is going at its best, it's got to include a heavy dose of the forecheck from Nils Höglander. So he had he played 8:33 in game 2, and he was benched for the last 14 and a half minutes of that game at a time when they need offense. You mentioned his 24 goals. All of them have been at 5-on-5, and so much of them are the result of his ability to retrieve pucks and generate out of the corner and generate off the forecheck. So he's got to get back to that, because you just haven't noticed it. I mean, what he does well is controllable. Getting it on the forecheck, getting it on the right side of the puck, and just being that energy player, that's controllable. You may not have finish on a game-to-game basis, but you should be able to have that part of your game in and game out. When you looked at him play during the regular season, you would have thought his game would have been tailor-made for the playoffs. So he's not going well. Pettersson's not going well. And collectively, they look like bottom 6 forwards right now for the Canucks.
For guys who are underachieving, let's go to a guy who I think is at least meeting what is expected of him, and that's Casey DeSmith. We know Thatcher Demko is now listed as week to week, so he's not going to come back anytime soon. A lot of us are thinking we don't even see him in this series at all. Casey DeSmith is not Thatcher Demko. We understand that. But he's not porous. He has not really struggled out there. Is there any particular aspect of his game, though, you would like to see him improve on?
Well, I think they're going to need him to clean up his rebound control. The third goal the other night came in on a rebound, and it was kind of an awkward one because the shot came in from so tight, and Pettersson almost ran into him. But when you look at the numbers, DeSmith ranked 57 out of 64 qualified goaltenders as far as allowing a rebound on almost 69% of his shots during the regular season. He was a little bit better in game two. 64.3% of shots resulted in rebounds, but he's going to need to clean that up because, you know, when you look at Nashville's forwards, yeah, they've got some highly skilled guys on their top line, but their middle six guys, they're only going to score by being able to crash and bang and make things happen like that. So he needs to find a way to absorb pucks a little bit better. You know, it kind of tailed off on him late in the regular season when they played games against Vegas and they played games against LA. But then you look at that important game against Edmonton, he was absorbing a lot. He wasn't giving up a lot of rebounds. He needs to find a way to get back to that and just force Nashville to be one and done as much as possible.
Tyler Myers has been out because of the flu. We assume with the extra day off now because of the travel to Nashville for Game 3 on Friday that Myers should be better and ready to play. Are you anticipating him coming back? And if he does, how much of an impact could that have?
Yeah, I think he can make a big impact, and I do expect him to play in Game 3. Myers did travel with the team, and, you know, he has improved so much this season. He's taken his turnovers and brought them way down. Noah Juleson, I think, is going to be a good player in this league. He's got some physicality and some confidence and bite to his game. Is he ready for playoff hockey immediately? Probably not. I mean, Myers was so effective for the Canucks in Game 1. Juleson wound up taking a couple of penalties. He got schooled by Forsberg coming out of the corner on that one nice goal, Nashville's second goal of the game. So, look, Myers has taken his share of penalties, although he did clean that up later in the year and didn't take any in Game 1. So you can't necessarily blame Juleson for all of that, but certainly the two were noticed. So I think Tyler Myers can come in, play a heavy dose of minutes. When you look at Vancouver's top defensemen, I mean, they played heavy minutes in that last game because they were chasing it. Myers is going to be able to bring some freshness, assuming he's fully healthy and you know, just has his wind from that illness back. But yeah, I think he can really be a calming influence, and his leadership has really started to show for the Canucks, especially late this season.
Canucks and Preds all leave at a game apiece as we wait for game number 3 Friday night in Nashville. Farhan Lalji in Vancouver. Look forward to chatting again tomorrow, my friend.